Hello and welcome to Loops and Lore with Meg. So for today's video, I am very excited to be filming my intro to the next vlog I am doing, and that is going to be a blind date with the book vlog. Originally, when I talked about this in my TBR video, I mentioned that my family was going to be picking the books. That's going to be moving on to another vlog at some point, and we're going to do that later because I found out that my library was doing blind date with a book, and so I rushed over and got those. It's only the 7th of February, and I'm not planning on reading these for at least a couple days, but I wanted to go ahead and get on here and film this part because I want to see what is in these. So I did get 2 of these and I am so excited. So I have a feeling I know what one of them is just based off of the description. So we'll see if I'm right about that. The other one, I don't think there's any way I could guess it just because I don't have enough knowledge within this area. And so the first one we're going to look at is this one. And it is a fiction horror, and it says 12 stories that delve into the darker parts of life, both metaphorical and literal. Stories about fate, mortality, luck, and the folds in reality where anything can happen. So this one, I don't think I could have any idea what it is because I don't know enough about horror and what has been released, and I have no idea. This could be from the 80s for all I know. I have no idea when this was published because it's just a library book that they picked to put on the shelves. So I am going to open this up and see what it is. I am so excited. I did pick this one because I felt like I want to try to see if I like horror. It's always been something that I pushed away because I was like, that's not my thing, not for me. But this one being short stories, I think could be really, really cool. So that is why I picked this one, and we'll see how it goes. So let's open this up. I'm going to try to keep the stickers and stuff because they look so cute. I have to actually tear the back of this a little bit. Oh, I probably could have guessed this one. So this is Stephen King, You Like It Darker. I've read one Stephen King before. Gunslinger, is that what it's called? I can't even remember. But I was kind of tempted by this one being a short story collection. So I'm going to be reading this and seeing how I feel about it. Yeah, cool. I did not know this. And this wasn't published last year, so it is a new release. Okay, I'm excited about this. On to book number 2, the versus component of this. I'm feeling I know what this is, and I kind of figured it out on the way home. So I will read the description and see if you can figure out what it is. It says it's fiction, science fiction, which is why I picked it. It was the only science fiction that was available, and I was like, well, I want to have one that is my cup of tea. There wasn't any fantasy available, so I'd say that got picked up pretty quick. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab the science fiction. And it says, Duke of a distant planet, while all know of his fall and the rise of his son, little is known about the quiet ruler and his partner, or how the Duke of an inconsequential planet earned an emperor's favor, the ire of another noble house, and set himself on a collision course with his own death. And then it says, unseen enemies circling. And so the thing about this one is I am pretty positive this is Dune, House of Atreides, by Robert Herbert. I think it's the son of Frank Herbert. So the thing about this is that this is the book I think it is, and it is the House of Atreides book. I have not read Dune. I have watched both the movies, and I've watched Dune Prophecy, and I love the movies and the show. So it is on my list to read Dune now. I did that way because I tried to read Dune a few years ago, and I couldn't get in my head like the characters and that kind of thing. I didn't connect with it the first time I tried to read it. But I have a feeling now that I'm like connected to the story and the world and have this kind of visual understanding, I'm going to really, really love the books. So I am okay with reading the prequel first because even though I haven't read the book, it's not going to spoil anything that I don't already know from the movies. Obviously, there could be some details that are in the books that is in the movies, but for the most part, if this is what I think it is, I'll be okay. So let's set up and see if I am correct in my assumption it is House of Atreides. And if it's not, it sounds like a really cool story, so I'm okay either way. So is Dune the Lady of Caladan? I'm gonna have to make sure that this is a prequel and that it is who I think it is. So, Family of Destiny, Lady Jessica, mother of Paul, and consort to Duke Leto Atreides. The choices she made shaped an empire, but the Lady of Caladan, must reckon with her own betrayal of the Bene Gesserit. She has already betrayed her ancient order, but now she must decide if she is loyalty to the sisterhood is more important than the love of her own family. Meanwhile, events of the greater empire are accelerating beyond the control. Even the Reverend Mother and Lady Jessica's family is on a collision course with their destiny. So I need to make sure that this is not a sequel to a sequel. Because I have a feeling that I might be needing to read something else first. Yeah, okay. I don't know if you can see this. But it says Brian, it's not Robert, it's Brian. Dune House of Atreides is the very first one, and this one's all the way down here. So I might need to see... And there's someone called the Duke of Caladan. Oh no, I might not be able to read this one. Okay, we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out off camera. See if I can read this one on its own, if it is a standalone within this world, or if I need to take it back and get the House of Atreides. And that as the first one within this world. Or just read Dune. But that's a lot thicker. I kind of like this one because it was a little thinner. I'm gonna think about this and make some decisions on it and see how I feel. So I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't decide what I was wanting to do about the fact that I got Dune the Lady of Caladan. I didn't think I was quite in the headspace to read actually Dune yet. So I was going to the library to see if they had the Duke of Caladan, because then I could just read the first book in that trilogy. But I wasn't 100% sold on that. But what ended up happening is they have restocked their blind date with the books. So I got 2 more. And I was just going to get 1 more, but then I realized how little this one was. And I was like, I can fit in this one too, because it sounds interesting. So I will open these when I get home. But this one is a fantasy historical fiction, and it's a retelling in Gothic, which I was all about. Sounded so good. And it says, she'll be wed to a Scottish brute. He won't leave his warrior ways behind. He's hostile, suspicious court will be a game of strategy requiring all of her wiles and hidden witchcraft. She doesn't know herself. Her husband has secrets of his own. And then prophecy guides him like armor and all this other stuff. So I was like, cool. Sounds really awesome. So I picked that one up. And then this one I was a little unsure of, but I really liked the idea of it. But it is YA, and I'm a little hit or miss with YA. So I know that going into it, but I would at least want to give it a go and see what it is and try it. And if I end up DNFing, that's okay. And this is a fantasy, pirates, and magic romance. And it says she conquered the rebellion and took her rightful place as queen. Now the islands are in turmoil. She's hiding her secret weakness as the people are questioning her authority. And she goes on a quest for a mythical artifact to fix everything, but it may come at a terrible cost. So I thought that sounded really interesting. Also, I love quest books. So I'm really hoping I'll like this. Plus, it's so pretty, like the way they did it. I love that they've been doing these like little wax seals, because I am going to peel those off and add them to like my wallpaper thing above my reading chair. And like I've been getting some of the stickers off of these to add to it too. Because I think it'd be really fun to kind of decoupage that wallpaper with a whole bunch of different things from my reading. So both of these have really cute seals on them. And I really like this sticker. It says, be brave, be bold, be you. And I think that's really cute. So there's definitely some cute things I'm going to add to my wallpaper wall from these. So let's get home and see what these books are, because I'm so excited to find out and see if I'm going to really love them. So I was going to wait until I was like more put together to actually film this part of the segment, but I'm too excited to see what the books are. So I've already given you a rundown of what the cards say, so I'm not going to do that again. But the first one I'm going to open is the Pirate Magic YA romance book. So I'm going to go ahead and rip into that and see what this is. And it is All the Tides of Fate by Adeline Grace. Now, I have seen this cover, and I know of this author, so that's good. And I'm going to see what this all is about. It's such a pretty cover. I'm pretty sure that this had some special editions a couple of years ago that had a blue cover. Like, I remember seeing this in blue, and I don't know if that is the case. But it says, through blood sacrifice, Amora has conquered a rebellion and taken her rightful place as queen. And it says, now the island's in turmoil and the people questioning her authority. Amora cannot allow anyone to see her weakness. No one can know about the curse in her bloodline. No one can know that she's lost her magic. No one can know the truth about the boy who holds the missing half of her soul. And to save herself, Amora embarks on a desperate quest for a mythical artifact that could fix everything. But it comes at a terrible cost as she tries to balance her loyalty to her people, her crew, and the desires of her heart. Amora will soon discover the power that to rule might destroy her. So this does sound really good. I am hopeful that I will enjoy it. And it's relatively short, so I should power through it pretty fast. And if this gets like top notch and wins the whole round, making a granny square inspired by this is going to be really good. I really, really love the look of it. I love like you have like the different like sea serpents and shells, but then you also have like potion bottles and like feather like daggers and like feather quills and stuff. Very, very cool cover. Okay, so that is that one. Now the next one is the one that I'm really, really excited to see what it is. And it is historical fiction retelling in Gothic. So let's open this up and see what awaits. Ooh, Lady Macbeth by Eva Reed. I have been wanting to read this. This is a really cool edition. So it's like a library like printed sleeve. And it's also large print, but it's like super tiny. So this must be a fairly short book. But man, that is definitely large print text. It's only 402 pages written that large. So it's not bad at all for the length. Yeah, let's see if this has the synopsis on it to see what it is about. The lady knows the stories, how her eyes induce madness in men. The lady knows she will be wed to the Scottish brute who does not leave his warrior ways behind when he comes to the marriage bed. The lady knows his hostile, suspicious court will be a game of strategy requiring all of her wiles and hidden witchcraft to survive. But the lady does not know her husband has occult secrets of his own. She does not know that her magic is greater and more dangerous and that it will threaten the order of the world. She does not know this yet, but she will. So I'm definitely looking forward to this. Eva Reed has been on my radar to finally read for quite some time. So this one sounds like the perfect place to start. So for this vlog, I will be reading Lady Macbeth by Eva Reed, All the Tides of Fate by Adeline Grace, and You Like It Darker by Stephen King. So this is quite the random lineup of books, but I'm really hopeful that these are going to be a lot of fun. And I don't know which one I want to start with. We'll maybe see which one is available for my library as audiobooks. That way I can do both. I'm really into immersive reading right now. It really helps me with my attention span to keep connected into it. So yeah, let's see which of these I end up starting first. It's been a while. So I wanted to go ahead and update you on my progress reading through these books that I have for this reading vlog. And I started off with Lady Macbeth by Eva Reed. This is a retelling of Macbeth by Shakespeare, but from the perspective of Lady Macbeth. And it also has more of a fantastical element to it that I wasn't sure about going into it. but it's like full on like fantastical world within our history, I guess is a good way to say it. I am almost done. Like, I'm probably going to be finishing this tonight. And I am loving the vibes of this. I wasn't sure about it when I first started because it was giving me a lot of like, you don't actually remember Macbeth, because I haven't read it since high school. And so I was worried that I wouldn't connect with the story because of that, because I didn't remember as much of the source material as I thought I did. But because this takes its own course and its own path, that's completely okay. I am really, really loving the kind of gothic vibe. I keep on saying vibe, but the atmosphere of this book is so cool. It's not going to be like a new favorite of mine, but I definitely will keep an eye out like at the different used bookstores and stuff, because I would like to own a copy of this for my shelf. I have seen on like Pingo and Macari some people selling like the Owl Crate versions of it for a decent price, so maybe I'll pick up one of those, because I'm not a huge fan of this cover. I've been calling it the Anya Taylor-Joy cover because it really does look like they used her as inspiration for this. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I think that the fantastical elements to it really add something, and I love that even though you're rooting for Lady Macbeth, like, she's not a good person. Like, nobody in this is really doing good things, but they're doing what they need to do to basically survive within this world. And I think that's really interesting. So I am really, really liking it, and can't wait to finish it to see how this wraps up, because I have no idea. That's partly because I don't remember the original very well. But yeah, I think I'm flying through this and should finish this up tonight. I don't know what I'm going to pick up for my next read. I think I'm going to see if the All Tides of Fate is available from the library, because I'm using Spotify hours to also read this. That way I do have the audiobook to go along with it, because that's my preferred way to read. So that way I don't have to just read when I can only sit down and read. Like, I can also read while doing other things. So I'm hoping that All Tides of Fate I can maybe get from Libby. And then the Stephen King book I went ahead and got on Everand. So I will, if the All Tides of Fate I can't get on Libby straight away, I'll probably start with the Stephen King, but it's definitely the one that is most intimidating for me to go into. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, I'm very, very happy with how this is going. So very good. Hello, and it is officially time to check in on my reading. I have officially finished Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed, and overall I enjoyed this book. I think I'm going to give it like a 3.5-ish star rating. I never had any issues reading it or anything, and I liked the way that it reimagined Shakespeare, but gave it like a darker, more like intimate and serious tone to it. And magical. That was a really cool part. But it also like was very atmospheric, and the writing style in it was lush and flowery without it being confusing, which I really, really appreciated, because I am someone that when I read Shakespeare, I need someone to explain to me what all is actually happening, because I just cannot comprehend prose that way. So that was nice to get this in a still a beautiful writing style, but something that is more accessible to more readers. And I like the exploration of power and fate and ambition when it comes to all these different characters. What worked best for me is the dark tone and the kind of gothic setting. Very nice. I loved Lady Macbeth's perspective and getting inside her head and her motivations behind like what she needed and what she was going to do to survive, and that she's more than just the ambition, that there's grief and trauma and deep secrets behind her survival of this story that you definitely didn't get from other perspectives of her. And what didn't work for me, I thought the pacing was a little off. There was parts of it that I was really drawn into, and then in parts that dragged out a bit. So that definitely could have been better. I also like felt a little emotionally disconnected from the characters. Like I never fully was enveloped in what I think the author wanted me to feel. So that was kind of, could have been better. I didn't love it, and that's kind of how I'm going off of it. But I do think I want to explore more of Ava Reed's writing, specifically ones that are more of a original, like, kind of storyline. Not that this isn't original, but it's based off of something. And I felt like I didn't have some of the background knowledge of Macbeth to really get the differences between them, because it has been so long since I read Macbeth. So, will I read more Ava Reed? Yes. So that was a really great first book for this blind date scenario that I have going on. So this is going to be a little bit of a funny story to add in for this next book. And you might already realize what I'm about to tell you. So, much like this one, which I will not be reading because it's the 21st book published in the Dune world and I need more background before I get to this one, I didn't realize that this is a sequel. I don't know why my librarian that made these decided that it would be a good idea to put book 2 in a blind date box, but they did. So this one I picked up because it was YA Magic Pirates, and I was like, cool, that sounds like a lot of fun. And I just started reading it. Like, I did no background research. I was just like, I'm diving in blind because I just want to have fun with it. And even like the synopsis doesn't read like it's book 2, which maybe that's on me to not realize that. But as you know, it didn't read to me like it was a book 2. It just read to me like a newly crowned queen has taken her place and now she has to figure out what to do. And that's how I was going into it. So then imagine my surprise when I'm reading it, and I think I read like 4 or 5 chapters. Like, I read a decent chunk of it. Let me see if I can find where I got to. Oh, I got to chapter 8. So I read 61 pages. And I just kept on thinking, why does this sound weird? Like, it's a really weird way to start a book, because it kept on almost like giving me a recap and diving into how the character was feeling about these past events. And I'm like, I feel like I should have read about those events. Like, I should know, like, why certain characters were killed and why there's certain, like, rebellions and uprisings within this magical world, and all these like different like places have different types of magic, and it was just like telling me like I should already know what those places are and what magic that they have. And I realized this is reading like a book 2, because it is. And you know how in my thing when I unboxed it and I was like, I felt like I've seen this with a blue cover. Well, insert actual book 1. It is in fact blue, and it's all the teeth and stars, or all the stars and teeth, or something like that. I can't remember the title. So I went through and then, and this is all like been within the last couple days because I haven't been able to film enough to you because of a sickness within the house. But I went through and then tried to read book 1, and I was so just not into it, because I knew that characters it was introducing me to was going to get killed. I knew already that everything had worked out and I didn't really care of how it worked out. So yeah, because of reading 8 chapters of this, I just could not get into book 1. So I am DNFing the series and just calling it a wash. I really, really wanted to crochet a cover, a granny square on this one, because it was my favorite cover. But alas, this one's going back to the library unread because, yeah, it's book 2. It's pretty bad that 50% of the books I got, I'd have to read other books first. And it's not like that was on the card to let me know anything, because I was trying to go into these blind in the sense that, I knew I wanted to do that and kind of not know too much about these. So that is your complete update of book 3, technically, because Dune was also a not going to read quite yet type of book. But I will say that the writing style of that one is interesting, and I think some of the way that the magic works is pretty cool. So I do recommend trying it if you enjoy YA fantasy. I do think that that one would be pretty good. I did realize that I have read that author before because they wrote the Belladonna trilogy, and I read the first one of that for book club, and I gave it 3 stars. So it was very middle of the road fine for me. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't the worst. So I kind of expected that that's how that one was going to be. And with the fact that I already knew some of the stuff that was going to happen, I just decided, I'm going to go ahead and DNF and move on. So that is that update. Okay, we're going to roll straight into my update for the final book in this vlog, and that is You Like It Darker by Stephen King. I have started this. I think I'm like this far into it, so not very far. This is a short story collection that I think is supposed to be more psychological horror than it is actual like horror. So we'll see how I feel about that. I have not read any Stephen King except for the first book in the Gunslinger series, and that just wasn't for me, and I have not continued that series. But this is the year, and I talked about it in my haul, that I want to try some horror to see if I actually don't like it or if I've just been avoiding it because I think I don't like it. So this came up in the blind date with a book, and I thought it was a perfect place to start with horror to see how I feel and then go on from there. So, so far I can tell obviously that Stephen King is a great writer. It is very engaging, and the way that it's written so far, super easy to read, and I'm like flying through it. I have not read very long, and I feel like I'm already into it pretty far. I am starting obviously with story number 1, which is Two Talented Bastards, and I'm liking it so far. It is starting to turn a little weird at the point I'm at right now, so I'm excited to see how I feel about that and what it's going to do going forward. So I do love a good short story collection, so I'm hoping that this one is a lot of fun to read and kind of dip my toes into the Stephen King world, and hopefully a way that is more accessible than like his, 1,000-page full-on books. So let's continue reading this one and see how it goes. Hello, and I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on my reading. So I am, as you can see, about halfway through with Stephen King's You Like It Darker. I have read 4 of the stories now, or I'm halfway through my 4th one. And I think the 4th one is also like the longest one because it goes all the way from there to there. So it is quite a long one. It is the one that I'm enjoying the most. It goes all the way from page 83 to 235. I don't know. I can tell that Stephen King is obviously a great writer. Technically, there is nothing wrong with this book. But so far, all of the stories have just been like, that was good. That was fine. I don't know that I'm like super entertained or like super drawn into it. There is a sense of it's so easy to read because it is written well. And so therefore, like, I am going through it pretty quick. I've only been reading this for about a day and have definitely been flying through it. I did like this short story, the 5th step, about the alcoholic who turns out to be something going on other than that, and then kind of like confessing your sins to a stranger type of scenario that one was. But that was like a 5-page little short story, so there wasn't a lot of like meat to it, but it was pretty good. I'm reading the Danny Coughlin's Dream right now, and I am liking that one as far as it's going. I'm interested to see where it goes, but it is feeling like very drawn out for the fact that this is a collection of short stories. Like, it's feeling very long, even though it's, barely over 100 pages of a story. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just feeling like this is fine. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. And it's just, I'm reading it to read it at this point. So I am going to continue reading, and I know like once I get to some of these other like little short bits of stories, it's going to go really fast again. But it's just, I don't know. It's not what I expected from Stephen King, and I don't know what I expected from Stephen King, but this is not it. It does have that kind of psychological feel to it, but it's very tame compared to what I was thinking I was getting into as far as like horror goes. And yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's fine. It's, you know, it's an easy read and it's good writing, but I don't know if it's something that I would be like super excited to ever read anything of again or anything like that. So yeah, that's my update. I'm going to continue reading and hopefully finish this pretty soon, so that way I can finish up this vlog and figure out which is my favorite book of the two. As of now, Lady Macbeth is winning, but I mean, I only gave it like a 3 stars, so this is probably going to be a pretty close second, because right now it's feeling very, very 3. Depending on how some of these short stories can go, maybe it could go up, maybe it could go down, because like the first story was like a 3, and then let me look at the little thing here. Yeah, I would say the first story that I've read so far is a 3 star. The second one was like a 3.5, and then the third one was like a 2. And right now the Danny Coughlin's is feeling like a 3.25. So it's feeling very middle of the road. So that is my update, and I will see you when I get to my next update on this. It is now way later than I wanted to be wrapping up this video, but we are going to wrap it up. I have finished You Like It Darker by Stephen King. Read the last of this as fastly as I could because I just didn't enjoy this. I'm giving it 2 stars. I think that some of the stories had some interesting parts, but for the most part, I was so bored with this, and that's not what I expected going into it. As I said in my other update, I can tell that Stephen King is a great writer. Everything about this technically was fine. It just was so boring, and I did not care about any of the storylines or any of the characters or any of what was happening. And some of the stuff that was happening, it felt like it was weird just to be weird. And I don't know, I just didn't connect with any of it. So that being a 2 star means that Lady Macbeth is in fact the winner of this blind date with a book showdown scenario. So and this one is a 3 star, so it's not like it's a great, at least, you know, it's not like it's won by a landslide or anything, but I did make a granny square for it, and I absolutely adore this granny square, so I'm okay with that. But I decided to do the kind of white to light gray to black, and then surround it in this hot pink to match the cover of the one that I have read. This is not my favorite color of Lady Macbeth. I do like some of the other covers better, but since the one I read, this is the one I ended up making. So that is it. Who knew when I went into this I had 4 books, and I'm coming out with 2 because I DNF'd 2 because they are too far along in the series, and I ended up screwing myself up. But not an overall great reading vlog as far as the actual reading goes. This is 2 star, this is 3 star. It was just a pretty meh time, which is also probably why it took me so long to read these books, because I've read all of the Emily Henry books, which is 4 books, in the same amount of time that I read just this one. And this one I read pretty quick, but it is pretty short, so that makes sense. But yeah, this was not my favorite reading vlog experience. And I am hoping to pick that up and like do something more fun next month. And so we'll see what that ends up being. But if you have read both of these books, which one wins in your showdown? And let me know down below. That is it. So like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Happy reading, stay cozy, stay crafty. Bye.